Hi everybody, I'm Cameron. I'm from Private Industry Council. Hope everybody's out there staying safe with their families and loved ones. Everybody's staying safe, staying home. Today I'm going to bring you a STEM activity that we can work on in terms of career readiness. Just kind of working on thinking about what you guys are going to do after high school graduation. And to do that, I'll guide you with some census activities and some census statistics. So we'll work on analyzing those in terms of decision making and analyzing what you want to do with your career upon graduation from high school. And I'll also give some input on my personal experiences, and I'll try to give some input on what I think is best. Obviously, I'm not an expert in this field, but this is just an activity to get you guys thinking, get your brains moving in the right direction in terms of what you want to do after high school. So what I'm going to do is, in the description of this video, below, it's a YouTube video, so in the description below I'll put a link to this worksheet that you guys are going to have. You can work through this with me as I'm discussing it. So basically the name of the activity is Where to Next. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the 2020 census and identify just different numbers and statistics in terms of analyzing careers, career paths, moving to a different area, analyzing how much it costs to live there, different commuting styles, things like that. So if you're going to look at it, the first questions you're going to have, I have here on this board, and I'll go through each one. So the first one's pretty straightforward, where to live. So for example, maybe if you live in a smaller area, you want to move to a bigger area where there's more job opportunities. It's a very, very common thing. I come from a small area, and that's what I set out to do. I did not want to stay in that area because there's little opportunities for what I wanted to do. So what I was able to do from there is just kind of analyze where I think I can excel while maybe not moving too far away from my family. So I relocated about an hour and a half south to where I live today in Greensburg, which is near Pittsburgh. So it's about an hour and a half, not too far of a commute if I wanted to go home and visit my family. So the next thing you want to look at is cost of living, where you're looking to live. Do you want to live in a smaller apartment but you have less of a commute, or do you want to live in a larger place where you can't, maybe there might be a little more or a little less, that you can afford to do. So for example, when I started looking at apartments, if you look closer to a city, like if you're here in the same county as a big city like Pittsburgh, Allegheny County, the minimum cost of an apartment is far less than, say, a neighboring county like maybe a Westmoreland or a Washington County. You can just get a couple $100s per month in rent just by crossing over a county line. So that's something you could maybe consider when looking at cost of living and where you might want to live in terms of choosing a career. Which brings me to the next question. You're looking at what kind of job or career path are you interested in. When you're analyzing career paths, what you want to do is you want to look at what your personal interests are, not only that, but also what your strengths are. So for example, my strengths are, I believe that I'm a people person, that I get along well with others. So that led me to what I do now with, in terms of career development, working with youth ages 16 to 24. So I feel like I relate with that population very well because I'm still young, and I've been in those people's shoes a lot of time, and I can relate with them and help them out with what they want to do. So I mean, there's a lot of our high priority occupations right now with CDL programs, things like that. An average CDL driver makes $50,000 a year. So that could be a career path. Some people want to choose in terms of what hours they want to work. Daytime hours, you got your daytime hours. There's overnight hours. Some people, those shifts are for, some people aren't. So that's another thing you want to identify if your career path offers those different shift options. So like for nursing has shifts at all hours of the day. So if you want to be an overnight nurse, there's a lot of needs for things like that. Just different things like that. There's a lot of different things you can look into in terms of career path. So that brings me to the next point. What does your career pay? So if your career might not pay as much as you think or as much as you might like, there's a couple options you could have there. You can work that job, and then you can also pick up maybe like a side job or things like that to keep you busy. For some people, that might be a viable option. Like, for example, what we'll get into after this, the question we'll get into after this in terms of education, how much it costs, required education, things like that. So if someone has student loans and they want to get those loans paid off faster, it might be a good idea to identify gaps in your schedule and your career, and kind of maybe take up an occupation on the side that you might enjoy, that you can just go to and still continue to earn money towards paying off loans or anything like that you might accrue throughout your education or gaining your required credentials for your career. That might be something worth looking into as well. So the last question on the first section here is what sort of educational attainment or what is required of someone in a career path that you've chosen. So a lot of places nowadays, they require at least a bachelor's degree not every place, I guess I should say. I take that back. So a lot of places at least require a high school diploma, but maybe some kind of license, like for example a CDL, commercial driver's license. There are classes you need to take for that. There are tests you need to take for all that. So there are certain things looking into for that. So like if you're going to get into, for example, like a welding field, there are different classes for that. There's technical courses for all that kind of thing. So that's something that's definitely worth looking into in terms of where you want to live, if that's available, things of that nature. So the next thing we're going to do, so what you want to do in terms of identifying where you want to live, there's things that are important in terms of identifying location and moving and things like that. So what we're going to do, if you guys have internet access, if you need to access this video anyways, there's a census website. It's called Quick Facts. It refers you to a table, and there's actually a table in the back of the handout that you guys will have access to. Again, at the bottom of this video in the description, I will post a link to that. So there's in the back, in the last couple pages of that, there's an activity item, the 15 fastest growing cities in the U.S. So that'll kind of help you identify what percentage increase you want to look at. If you want to look at somewhere that's maybe it's more populated with people your age, you can get around and interact, do something on the side or do something socially that you might not have had an opportunity to do if you're from a smaller area. So then this site, as I was saying before, again, this will be in the link in the description of this video. You guys I can't expect you to read my handwriting. I apologize for that. So this site will show you quick facts about census numbers by location, by geographic location. It gives us certain demographics, age ranges, race, churches, extracurricular activities available in certain areas. It gets very detailed. So with that being said, I want to jump into the importance of a census. This will probably be one of the last things I'll cover today. So the most important thing about a census is very important that you talk to your family about filling it out. Basically what the purpose of a census is, you might have heard of it before, you might not have. It's basically a survey that the government runs every 10 years to kind of show every person that occurs and that lives in the United States. It's important because that helps count for things such as like government funding, things like that. It also helps for government elections. For how many seats a state might get at a House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. So, for example, like Texas has a lot more than a smaller state like Connecticut, things like that. So it's very important for those to be accurately counted. And the only way for those to be accurately counted is if citizens of each state and in the country entirely respond to the census in a timely and accurate manner. So basically, something that you can do extra along with this worksheet that you'll find in the worksheet is kind of at home just asking around to see what the adults in your family have to say about the census. Maybe they've kind of, it slipped their mind to participate in the census this year. This is a census year, 2020. So maybe they've forgotten to do it themselves. Maybe they don't particularly think it's a good idea. But it's something that when you complete this activity, you'll be able to explain to them that this is something that's very important in terms of identifying where needs are in our country, in terms of maybe poverty, demographic splits, things like that. Something else you can do while you're at home with your family is kind of identifying with your parents or your family, like what made them choose the career path they're in. It's a very good conversation to have. It can lead you to also generate your own ideas about your career and things of that nature. There's a lot of different things, a lot of places you can go with this activity. I do appreciate your time today. And again, it's very important to have these discussions and start thinking about where and what you want to do with your life after high school, because it really does start flying by very quickly. You might have thought maybe yesterday you were a freshman in high school and didn't really think that you had to start thinking about this kind of thing. Well, it's very important that you begin to think about this and think about it thoroughly, as there are a lot of different plans you can make for yourself. If you have a lead plan, it can generate. If the lead plan doesn't quite work out the way you want to, you can fall into a backup plan, things like that. So again, we'll go over these few talking points that we're going to focus on with this worksheet. So you're going to identify where you want to live after you graduate high school. If you want to move, say you want to move into a secondary education place such as a university, you have to move away for that. If you want to identify cost of living in that area, which actually is the second point, cost of living. If you want to identify cost of living such as rent, maybe even renting a house, or maybe going in with roommates and potentially buying a house, whatever works for you. If that fits into your plan, that's totally fine. And then from there, identifying your job and career path, identifying that path. Remember, like I said earlier, identifying the skills that you might have, strengths and weaknesses. It's very important. That also leads into what does that career path that you chose and what does it pay? Is it something that you can live on? Is it something that you'll actually enjoy going to? There is a statistic out there that over 75% of Americans they go to work and they do not enjoy what they're doing. So enjoying what you do is very important. And the last one again is what kind of education is required for that career that you've chosen. So is it going to be a bachelor's degree? Is it going to be a master's degree, a doctorate degree? Is it going to be a certificate, or is it going to be something such as like a commercial driver's license or a welding certificate that you have to earn? Whatever it requires. There are a lot of different sites you can type in for that. Something else you want to go to again is quick facts. This brings you to the census website. Again, this link will be in the description of the YouTube video for you guys to go to, as well as the link for the worksheet I've been referring to for the majority of this video. That will be there as well, something for you to work on throughout this time. Again, this table and website will refer you to different demographic spreads of areas, demographic splits, certain population statistics in terms of what age range and how many are of each age range, what percentages, things like that. So again, thanks for your time. Thanks for tuning in today. You can feel free to visit our website, www.providentindustrycouncil.com. We got some pretty exciting stuff going on even during these trying times. Again, I hope everybody is staying safe, practicing social distancing, things like that. So next week I'll be posting a video. We're going to do something else pretty practical like this. So again, if you have any questions or anything like that, I will be emailing it out. My email will be in the link of this video as well. Thanks, everybody.